Messi has a huge fan base in China, and people used to hail him as 球王, or king of soccer in China. But now people are condemning him, cursing him, and even destroying his collectible soccer jerseys. All because he didn't play in the exhibition game in Hong Kong. Well, at least that's the surface reason. But since I grew up in Communist China, I can see something else going on here. So let me explain what's the real reason Chinese people hate Messi now. This whole thing started when Tatler Asia, a fashion magazine, organized a two-day event called X-Fest that centered around a friendly soccer match between Inter Miami and the local Hong Kong team on February 4th. Inter Miami also announced this game as part of their 2024 preseason tour. This is one of the most highly anticipated games in recent years because Messi has a large fan base not only in China but also in Hong Kong. Even with ticket prices much higher than usual, on December 15th, when the tickets went on sale, 40,000 tickets were still sold out in an hour. And later on, third-party resellers were reselling the tickets as high as $14,000 per ticket. And there were still a lot of fans trying to buy these tickets because of Messi. Messi's face was featured in all sorts of ads Tatler Asia put out for the event, as well as billboards and even on ships displayed around Hong Kong. And fans came to the game expecting to see Messi play. But of course, Messi didn't play a single minute. He sat on the bench during the entire game. So of course, fans were upset, especially those who paid a really premium price for these tickets. And during the end of the game, people were chanting for a refund. So why didn't Messi play? On February 6, 2 days after the event, Messi said in a press conference in Japan that he didn't participate in the Hong Kong game because of injury and discomfort, even though he really wanted to. And at that time, it was still a question whether he could play or not in Japan. On February 7th, the next day, Messi did play in a game in Japan, and not only he played, he also played for 30 minutes. So once the news came out, fans were really pissed off. They thought Messi was not playing in Hong Kong intentionally, and people were questioning whether his injury could be cured within 3 days. These were all legit questions from the 40,000 fans that paid to watch Messi in the game, and even for the Hong Kong local people who felt offended. What's interesting is why people in mainland China were also so triggered by this event. First of all, it's not like the relationship between Beijing and Hong Kong were the friendliest in recent years. And also, it's not like Messi didn't play in Beijing and made Beijing lose face. In fact, he just had an amazing performance in June last year playing in Beijing. What's unusual about this game, though, this match happened on Xi Jinping's 70th birthday, and Xi happens to love soccer. So this doesn't seem like a commercial event at all, but rather a political show, a birthday gift for Xi. Now let's look at what happened in Hong Kong. In recent years, the CCP has been getting more and more aggressive in their attempts to breach the one country, two system promise and force communism in Hong Kong. As a result, investors are losing interest in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong economy has been declining drastically, and the city is even attracting less tourists than before. In order to save the city's image, the Hong Kong government really needed an event to attract attention. They saw the soccer match as the perfect opportunity to achieve their agenda. So it seems to me that the Hong Kong government learned from the best from Beijing and tried to use this exhibition match to achieve their political goals. So after the match has been confirmed, the Hong Kong government added an agreement with Tatler Asia to provide them with $2 million of government funding and providing the venue, and in return they requested Messi to play for at least 45 minutes. Him and his team need to shake hands with the chief executive, pose with him, and make speeches thanking the government, and put on a show to tour famous sites around Hong Kong. The problem is, when Tatler Asia signed a deal with Beckham, it was probably only for the team to play, with none of this nonsense attached. And to Inter Miami, they were paid to play, but nothing more. On a news report published on January 11th, it said big-name players will show up at the event, but they make no promises for Messi to play. But despite the uncertainty, Tatler Asia still advertised Messi's face everywhere. and sold the tickets at super high price using Messi. On the other hand, the deal Retaliation made with the Hong Kong government, led by the chief executive Zhang Li, led them to believe that this will be the greatest publicity event for Hong Kong.
Hello from Hong Kong. New opportunities, new facilities, new experiences, and so much more.
But on the day of the event, when Messi avoided shaking hands and posing with the chief executive, and did not play in the field, didn't make a thank you speech, and refused to tour the city as a mascot, it turned into a huge slap on the Hong Kong government's face, and it cannot be tolerated. So the first ones to come out and attack Messi, if you take a look, were all angry Hong Kong officials. For example, Regina Ip and Kenneth Fogg, both are members of the Legislative Council of Hong Kong, followed by Hu Xijin, a former editor-in-chief and Chinese Communist Party Committee secretary of the state-run Global Times. But this is just the start. Soon, all the state-run media followed and added fuel to the fire. All the news reportings were purposely blowing this out of proportion, accusing Messi for doing this deliberately and accusing him of 辱华, which means humiliating China and hurting Chinese people. They were demanding an apology, and most recently, on February 9th, the CCP cancelled an upcoming friendly match with the Argentina team that was supposed to happen in Hangzhou, China in March. But with all these accusations happening, they seem to forget how Messi hugged a young fan in Beijing, how he interacted with fans on training session the day before the Hong Kong event, and how him and his team took the time to visit sick fans in Hong Kong instead of going on the government-arranged tours. The fans actually had the right to be upset, but if you look at the photos and videos from the event day, the majority of them are not angry. They were disappointed, of course, and they wanted a refund, but do they not ever want to see Messi again in Hong Kong? Of course not. So why did the government keep escalating the issue and turning this into a China versus Messi war? For the local Hong Kong government, of course they wanted to make an example out of him, but the CCP had other plans. So this match happened on February 4th, just a few days before the Chinese New Year, which is February 10th this year. Every year around Chinese New Year time is a time when the CCP really tries to maintain a positive image to show the entire country for stability reasons. However, this year several large-scale bad news were happening, such as the blizzard causing huge traffic jam in southern China. Millions of people were stuck on the road trying to go back home, but instead they were trapped on the road in freezing temperature for over 5 days. People were running out of food, running out of water, there was no heat, no electricity, no bathroom to use, and the livestock they were carrying were all dying. After 3 days, 4 days, and 5 days, people were getting desperate, but the government was not doing anything. Also, the Chinese stock market crashed below new records. Instead of helping people, the CCP forbid the stockholders from selling anything. So people who put their entire life savings into the stock market can do nothing but to see their life savings disappear in front of their eyes. And many people took their own lives before the Chinese New Year. And the end of the year is also when China's poor working class, especially the blue collars, try to get paid for their year worth of salary, but usually get beaten up. So conflicts were happening everywhere. This is why the CCP desperately needed a distraction. Back in the day, before the internet existed, it was much easier for the CCP to control people. All they need to do is order all of the state-run media to broadcast and to print everything the CCP wanted to tell people. But now there's social media, so what they can do is to redirect people's focus by creating a common enemy. And the Messi situation happened at the perfect time. So the CCP took advantage and used this event to incite hatred and turn the entire country against a foreigner. This tactic has been used by the Chinese Communist Party many times before, and it works every single time. And it certainly is successful this time too. Look at how many Chinese influencers jumped on the Messi hate train after the news report. These people actually, most of them are not doing it because they personally felt hurt, but they sense that it is now politically correct to hate on Messi. and they're doing it simply for views and money. For example, these two who supposedly cut very expensive Messi signed jerseys, it turns out they use editing to switch to a different shirt to put on an act. It's very sad because even though these Chinese influencers might not believe in what they were doing, but their actions certainly is helping the CCP to achieving what they wanted to do. And thanks to them, they created this illusion, and your average Chinese internet users who don't know much would be flooded with information on how people hate Messi now. And while they're joining the movement and thinking they're defending the country, what they're really missing is to see all the tragedies that's happening inside China right now and what a horrible government the Chinese Communist Party is. That's exactly what the CCP is trying to do here by getting people worked up in the direction they're pointing so the CCP could survive a little longer. Thank you for watching. I'm Ali, and I'll see you next time.